And we're live. Okay, well, hello everyone. This is Mental Arts with John Worthington. My name is Lenore Sterner, and I'm here with John Worthington. How are you doing tonight, John?
I'm wonderful. I just can't help myself. What can I say to you, Kim?
Well, that is wonderful to hear.
That's what I think too. Yeah. All right.
All right. Sounds like you might be getting a call there.
We're getting a call, but I don't know who it is exactly. It isn't. Somebody's taking it to whoever it belongs to. It's not mine.
Okay. All righty.
We have people. We have people wandering around the house tonight. So.
Okay. So, what I wanted to ask you about was
Okay.
B1 and
Oh,
what.
okay.
So, I wanted to ask you about what B1 actually is. And
Mm-hmm.
also, I wanted to ask about what exactly it means when you say that you have to be willing to put your life on the line.
Well, there's a couple. Let's unpack some stuff here. Okay. First
Okay.
of all, being at one in the simplest of terms means that one is at one body, mind, and spirit. Okay, that's the easiest way to say it. It doesn't mean a damn thing to say it, but it's the easiest way. Okay,
Okay.
so what it actually means is this: is that that what we're going to do with B1 is that it's a spiritual function, really. Because in order for us to actually be at one, we have to kind of forget about that the body is always in charge. It can be in charge when it's necessary, but so can the spirit be in charge when it's necessary. And we oftentimes don't allow that. Okay, we just don't quite get to there. We talk about the spirit, we talk about being spiritual, we talk about how the spirit talks to us and tells us what little whispers in our little earsy doozles and so forth. And it's like it's interesting and all that kind of thing, I guess. But I don't think it's necessarily true that way, because from my own experience, the spirit expresses through functions, and B1 is one of the functions. There are actually 8 functions in total, just like there are 8 notes. There's when you play a musical scale, it's do re mi fa sol la ti do. Okay, and so it's the same kind of scale. Uh, Light is we see light on that same scale. Middle C and green light are kind of in the same zone and harmonically, if you follow me. In other words, the middle of the light spectrum and the middle of the sound spectrum is actually middle C and green light. That's the middle. And so we need to consider that same kind of thing in terms of the functions of the other, because that too is an energetic expression. Okay, and so we could think of making music or making the music of our lives through the functions, or through using the notes or the function notes, if you like to think about it that way. And the first note, the do note, is be at one, because you have to be at one with yourself. You can't be divided against yourself. In other words, you can't. Let me give you a couple for instances. So, for instance, you're now a mommy. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. You can't go around saying, I'm not really a mommy. I'm a mommy in the morning sometimes, but not every day. I mean, I can't always. Who the hell can be a mommy all the time? Well, that's not really true. See, you really are a mommy all the time. You are at one with yourself in terms of being a mommy. For you to deny that oneness would be a division within yourself. The same thing would be true if somebody said, okay, I really love that guy and I married him, but now I can't stand his guts. Well, okay, wait a minute, stop. What happened? I'm not arguing with you about whether you like him or whether you married him or anything, but what happened? What changed? Well, he did. Well, no, he didn't. No, that didn't happen, because in order for him to change, he would have had to change his programming, and if he doesn't know about his programming, that didn't happen. Did you change? Did your programming change? Or did you just decide that you were divided and you didn't want that anymore? It's not a good thing or a bad thing. It's just, how is it? I don't care how it is. It's all legal. But you need to stop and think about that, because that demonstrates that you're not necessarily at one with yourself if you change your mind like that. Doesn't mean that you're not, but it doesn't indicate that you are either. Okay? So being at one really is an expression of the other. And the reason, the way that we get to that is that we attend to our programming. And here's how we can know whether our programming works or not. Can you get along with that significant other? Or are there fights and feuds and I told yous and how dare you do that to moi kind of thing? If those kinds of things are going on, then you're not at one with yourself, because you're not looking for harmony with that other person. See, being at one with yourself means that you're at harmony with yourself and with other people. Okay? All that harmony has to be all the way across the board. I mean, you can't go into a choir or even into a duet and say, I'm going to sing a different song than what you're singing, darling. Why? Because I like this song, but the song that we're singing is this one. Not anymore. I'm singing this other one. The key we're singing in is, no, not anymore. I'm singing this other one. But I don't know the jazz version too damn bad. I'm singing the country version. So there. Yeah, those kinds of things we don't get along so good like that. See, that does bad things to us.
Right. Okay. So the other day when I had asked you about what exactly is going on when people are saying they're not big enough to change their programming. So you're still an adult.
Yes, but they're saying that they're not big enough, but that really becomes a defense or invasion of some variety, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Because how did the program get there? Why you wrote it, didn't you?
Right, and that's what you were saying about it's an excuse not to be one.
Right, that's right. Because the thing is that you wrote the program originally. Mm-hmm. And so if you can't change it now to become more at one with somebody else, for instance, more in harmony, shall we say, with somebody else, you have to be one with yourself, but you have to be in harmony with somebody else. If you can't do that, though, then what's going on for you? Does that make you a bad person? No, it doesn't. That has nothing to do with good and bad here. It just has to do with, does it work? That's all. If it's not working, can we tweak it a little bit, maybe, somewhere? Yeah, that bitch over there, she's the one that has to do the tweaking, not moi. I don't really subscribe to that. I don't think that's being at one. I think that's being something else. We'll just leave something else alone for the moment.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, what was the other part of your question?
The other part of my question had to do with, in the book, you talk about this idea of being willing to put your life on the line to be one.
That's right. I mean, think about this. Okay. I was talking with a guy here not long ago that has thought all his life that he's gay. Okay. He's not gay, but he's always thought that he was. Okay. And so the reason that he did was because a family member had accosted him or had raped him when he was very young. Okay. And so that family member reminded him that he'd been used. Okay. So he reminded him that all of the time throughout his life. And so as a result, he kind of got to the place where he said, okay, I must be gay then. But I got, every time I see a naked woman, well, I don't react like I'm gay. Is how he put it, okay?
Okay.
All right. And so the other day we started talking about that, been some time, but we started talking about that issue, and I said, okay, what happened between you and your brother? And it took him, a week to maybe 10 days or so to work his way through to where he could actually talk about the whole thing. And he finally came to a place where he said, I never told my mom about it. When she asked me about it, I just denied it, said nothing happened. So he called his mom and he told his mom about it and so forth. Well, as that energy began to release, and he began to see that he really did like girls, lo and behold, if he didn't just get lucky as hell. And he disappeared off into the sunset or into something with all of his luck, because he found out that was kind of an interlocking event, because it was very exciting there. And it was a new event, and it was a new thing, and he was happy about that. He was very pleased about it, which it should be, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then he also got to the place where he was embarrassed about it, because Jesus, he lied about being this other thing for years and years to everybody in the family, and now he's got to go back and say, well, that I was lying about that because I didn't tell Mom the truth. Well, that's a tough one, isn't it? But throughout that entire lie, he couldn't be at one with himself. Ooh. Oh. Yeah. Perfecto. Okay. So there's things of that nature that people do. You understand what I'm saying? And so because of the lie, because he couldn't actually, it wasn't so much that it was a lie. It was that he didn't want to start a fight in the family, really, or he didn't want to tell the truth, or he was embarrassed, or who cares? But he couldn't tell his mom the truth about it. Okay, he said no, everything's okay. He just couldn't get to the place where he could tell the truth. Well, all of a sudden now, he knows what the truth is, and he's expressing that, and it's a wonderful thing for him, don't you think? It's liberating. But is he at one with himself yet? No, that's going to take a while yet, because there's all those programs he's got to sort through still about where things are. You follow what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, which is a good thing. Okay, we want him to do that. Now, we don't know what that's going to cost him yet, and he doesn't either. Okay, but it's a great first step for him to know. I mean, it's great. Mm-hmm. Now, here's the thing. For him to come to the place where he had to say, I can't really lie to myself or to Mom anymore, he had to put his life on the line, because he had to look at how much of his life had been involved in this lie, or in this lack of completion, let's say. This omission, he'd forgotten he'd mentioned anybody. He wasn't necessarily gay. It was that his brother was telling him that that's what happened. Okay, so the thing is that his life had already been on the line, because he was denying who and what he actually is. He was saying that he was gay when he wasn't. And so he was embarrassed about being gay, and he suffered because he was gay, and all those kinds of things, none of which was really affecting him that way. It was his guilties that was affecting him. So he had to put his life on the line. He had to say, okay, if I'm going to live life, in other words, if I'm going to actually have a life that I'm proud of, that I enjoy, that's my life, not mm-hmm. life that my brother says, or my family member says, or my mother says, or my daddy says, or my sister says, or my granny says, or none of those. My life. Okay, meant that he had to put that life out there on the line and say, okay, is what I'm doing worthwhile or not? Somebody that helps me that asks me questions here sometimes, Terry, has been arguing with herself about this one somewhat, saying, okay, what is something that's that important, is how she's putting it, right? In other words, is it important enough for me to take a stand and to say, okay, for me to live life, I have to have this thing in place in my life. I have to understand this. I have to be able to do this. Okay. That's the part that that's the part that's putting your life on the line, right?
Okay. So in this example, too, when you're if he's putting his life on the line,
yes,
and becoming one with himself and tweaking all those programs, there could be things that happen, like say someone gets mad at him or something like that. And part
I'm
of
sorry.
putting
I did at my guests.
Gotcha. So if someone's putting their life on the line and they're changing
Yeah.
all those programs for themselves and making little
Right.
tweaks to things and becoming one with themselves, that would mean that the agreements that they had in place before would be changing. Correct?
Probably. It may be that they're just being adjusted.
Okay.
Okay, it's really hard. I think it's really hard to categorize agreements as being changed. Okay,
All
they can
right.
be adjusted. They can be tweaked. They can be, we can get another click of this and another. It's like a recipe, right? Okay, in other words, a recipe. If you put a tablespoon of baking soda and a tablespoon of baking powder, you're still going to get rise, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
But you're going to get a different kind of rise if you just put baking powder. Okay.
Okay.
In some breads, you really want to have a yeast because the yeast gives it a different flavor and a different kind of thing. If it's a biscuit, okay, we can put it in just that. But in other words, you can tweak that recipe. You can throw some cheese in that biscuit. You can throw some bacon in that biscuit, for instance. You can put some egg in it, for instance, so that it's a little richer. It changes the structure of it. A little sugar in there might change it a little bit, but not much. Just a teensy weensy bit. Hardly so you can hardly notice it. Just so that the flour notices. Okay. If you're making a stew or a soup, gee, does it make any difference really what you're throwing in there? Yeah, it does. But how much stuff can you throw in there and change the recipe and still have a good soup? Lots of things, right? And so that's what an agreement's like. An agreement saying, okay, we're going to have soup. Okay, well, we got to have onion. Okay, everybody can agree on onion? Yeah. Okay, we got to have some meat in there. What do you think? Some beef too today? All right, great. How about some barley? Oh, you don't like barley. Okay, how about some beans? Oh, you're allergic to beans. I see. Well, what if we put some lentils in there? Oh, okay, lentils. How about some potatoes? Okay, you got it. Let's see, tomatoes? Okay. So you see, we can adjust that. How about some thyme? Sage? All right. You understand what I'm saying? But the recipe isn't necessarily in stone. Okay, it can be adjusted somewhat. It's still the same agreement. It's still the same recipe, but now it's got some tweaks to it that makes it just a little bit more tasty.
Okay.
Okay.
And is that because, so for instance, you talked about earlier, you mentioned an example you gave was a couple who the woman says, "Oh, I don't love you anymore," and how she's not being one with herself. Is
Right.
that is the agreement tweaking that you're talking about here because that relationship is still there no matter what?
Well, the relationship is there, but not only the relationship, so is the agreement. The reality that they're making together is also there. Now, the question
Mm,
is are they making a reality that's actually a real thing, or are they making a reality that's kind of a game, sort of like? In other words,
okay.
okay, for instance, there are ladies who get married so they can get divorced. Okay, and they get married so
Okay.
they get divorced because when they get divorced, they get money. Okay, it's a business for them. Okay, now that doesn't mean anything particularly other than that's what they're doing. Okay, that's all. Okay, that's the thing they're doing. So I mean, it's not good or bad, but they need to be honest about that. I guess, okay, look, sweetness and light and love of my life and everything. I didn't marry you for love. I married you for your money. That's the reason I married you, really. And now I'm going to collect in you because, I don't like being a trophy, for instance. Okay, be honest about that. But with somebody, not necessarily with him, but with you, at least with you. And I
Mhm.
can understand why you don't want to be honest with him about it, because that would piss him off and then he'd be hard to get along with, okay? Okay, it's better. Okay, so uh, these are things that people do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Guys do that too. Guys say, look, I really want to marry you because I really think that you're this, that, or the other, hot or cute or you make a good trophy, whatever. But, my secretary is also kind of in the same category, and so between the two of you, it's 50-50. Is that right or wrong? Neither one. It's people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's how people are. Ask Pitbull, right? I mean, people are just like that, and it's like it's not a good thing or a bad thing. It's just a people thing. That's what people do. And if you put rules on people, they're going to break them. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
now here's the thing. I know a lot of ladies who put those rules out there and they say, no, it's going to be this way. Guys do the same thing. The rules are going to be this way, and if they're not like this, then we're done. Well, that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of an artificial sort of thing in a way. There's nothing. I mean, it's okay to have it. I agree for the people to have it, but everybody needs to recognize that that's kind of artificial. So it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me. But be fair with yourself about it being an artificial thing. That those rules don't necessarily exist in the world. They're rules that we put on ourselves for societal reasons and other reasons of that nature. Okay, governmental
Mm-hmm.
reasons and so forth. There's nothing wrong with the rules. I mean, they're good rules, but they're not necessarily natural rules. They're artificial rules, and so people break them. That doesn't mean that people are bad. It means that people are people. They break those rules. That's it.
So people are
Okay.
rebellious.
Uh, sometimes people, yeah, sometimes we are rebellious. Sometimes it's not so much a rebellion as it is let's say, we could call it a necessity, for lack of a better term. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. When we say rebellious, we got to really look at what that means. I think, and I don't think we can just. I don't think there's a rebellious blanket necessarily. I think rebellious is something that's deliberate, but it's not a blanket. I don't think we put it over everything. Okay, I think it's an individual thing, like kind of like underwear.
Okay.
You don't share that with many people. You know what I mean? It's yours. that kind of thing. All right. So I think rebellious is like that too. I think rebellious is up close and personal. It's something that one does deliberately on purpose to express something. It's well, kind of a passive aggressive way. Sometimes it's passive, or sometimes it's just aggressive. But it's generally a passive aggressive way of expressing a disagreement. A chafe, as we would
Oh,
say.
okay.
All
All
right.
right.
Or
I
a
think I'm
chaff,
following.
if you prefer. Okay. All right. Okay, what else we got, Ken?
Hmm. I'm really now I'm just like I'm noodling this whole rebellion thing because I never thought about it that way. And
Well, see, rebellion isn't a moral issue.
okay.
Okay. Uh, let me give you a for instance about a moral issue so that you can see what I mean. The perception of beauty is a moral issue. In fact, it's a moral test.
Okay.
Okay. I want you to think about this for a second. Who do you know that is just ugly? Just ugly, nothing else. Nobody.
Nobody.
Right. So to perceive beauty in an individual, even one that is mostly ugly, is a moral test. Okay, it's like, why is this person being rebellious? What rather than saying this is ugly and it's a moral issue that you're ugly, why not say, okay, wait a second, I understand why you're being rebellious here. I've been rebellious too. I mean, it's not a secret about why we folks are rebellious, right? Okay, but I'm trying to express something and I don't know how to tell you any other way. There's probably lots of other ways, and I may be chicken shit to say them, but I don't know how to do it right now. So I'm going to be rebellious instead. When you're a kid, that works pretty well. It gives you a way to tell mom and dad that you're not. But when you get older, it becomes a point in time where, well, it's kind of expected that you're going to say, look, this is what bothered me here about this, rather than being rebellious. That's kind of a maturity thing, okay? So rather than saying it's a moral issue, why don't we call it more of a maturity issue that we can sometimes, and it's like, really, sometimes we're not rebellious about lots of things, but there's just this one thing, there's one childhood thing or childish thing, and by golly, we're going to be rebellious about that, come hell or high water, no matter what.
Okay. All right. I'm following now.
Okay. So it's like to see the beauty of that person who's being rebellious is really a test of my morality, not one of theirs. I mean, look, think about my relationship with you, for instance.
Okay.
You've been rebellious here and there in your life that I've known about, and that,
Once or twice.
but just
little
little
bit.
bits, right? Not big things, just little bitty things. But you've been a little rebellious here and there. That doesn't change who you are. That doesn't change that you're a smart person. It doesn't change that you work your ass off. It doesn't change that you need to take a break now and then. It doesn't change the fact that Colby has looked after you and taken care of you since you were knee high to a grasshopper. Doesn't change any of the things that you've always loved the guy for doing that for you. All of those things are true, right? Okay. Those are all beautiful things that you do, kid. So, are you rebellious? Oh, fucking A. Of course you are. So what?
Once in a while.
But see, it's harder to be rebellious as you get older because you start saying, okay, well, what am I rebelling against? Myself? Something to my advantage. Why? Why do I do that? So that beauty has always been there, see? Believe it or not.
And when you're being one, you can't be rebellious, right?
I think you can. I don't think that being one is a guarantee or a have to or anything like that. I don't think one is at one and then is suddenly within all of the 10 Commandments. I don't think that's really true. I think that
Okay.
I think that one is consistent within what one says and what one believes. In other words, look, if you believe that, well, let's see if I can find one that's appropriate, that's subject appropriate here. If you believe that it's okay for your old man to stop at the bar and have a drink before he comes home with the guys, not every night, but you can stop and visit with his buds and have a beer with him before he comes home. If you think that's okay, and you bitch at him when he does it, yeah, there's something wrong there. Okay, that's a rebellion or a problem that's being manufactured where there's not really a problem. And that's something that we as adults need to understand. So we need to see the beauty in what that guy is doing, the significant other, when he stops to see his buds and has a beer with them, because that's kind of a socially necessity after work sometimes. Okay, it's necessary at times. And so for you to complain about him doing it is only going to make him go do that more, because he's going to say, oh, Christ, if I go home and I have to listen to that shit again. And he's not looking for where there's beauty in you, and you're not looking for there's beauty in him, and pretty quick the both of you are, well, you're just fighting and carrying on and being nasty with each other. That's no fun. Huh.
And it all starts with actually being honest about what it is that's bugging you.
Or being one with oneself. Because why are you being bugged by being in harmony with that other person? I mean, you love that other person. I mean, that's true, right?
Yeah.
You love them.
Yeah.
Okay, and they love you. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and so what will they? Can they be? What we say? Can they be tempted over there at the bar? Well, hell yeah, they can be tempted over there at the bar. They might even be. And if they are, what are you gonna do? You're gonna run them off, run them out of town on a rail, or are you gonna say, okay, were you tempted? And what did you do about it? Well, you shouldn't drink so much. Is what you shouldn't do about it. Now clean up and don't get that smelly thing away from me here. I don't smell that smell there. Go away. Go take a shower. No, don't come hug me quite yet. It's okay, but don't hug me quite yet. I'm not ready. You know, take a powder here. Yeah. Okay. Okay. That works way better than to pitch a bitch and to say, okay, I want a divorce right now.
How dare you?
Well, that's true. See, I mean, both things are true. You know how you can hold that line and say, you can't be doing that stuff, but at the same time, you don't have to make it. You don't have to make it a federal case. You know, if it's a constant thing, then you got to figure out why is it a constant thing. What's not going on in this relationship that you're in? Mm-hmm. Is it not? Are both of you unhappy with it? Well, why? Where did the disharmony, or where did the argument begin then? And how far back did it go? All the way back from high school when you said that about her and what? It happens, kid. It happens. You know, I've sat here and listened to this from high school. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, and what happened then? And she said she did. Well, that proved what a bitch she was, okay? And how about you? Were you a bitch at that time too? You were? Oh, okay, that's fair. Oh, you weren't. You thought about being, but you really aren't one. Okay. Oh, okay. I got it. Yep. Sir, I don't know if this can be repaired. Really, I can't. Would y'all two like to have a divorce? Well, you need to call a lawyer because you guys are gonna fight about this. There's no reconciliation because neither one of you want to get along. You both want to do what you want. So don't get married again because you're gonna make the same mistake again, please. Well, if it were so sad, it'd be hilarious, wouldn't
it? I mean, it sounds like a lot of it just all boils down to just silly things.
Well, maybe because for me, drama is kind of a silly thing. Mm-hmm. If you're going to react to the drama, and really you're going to react to the drama, not to what's actually happening? How does that work? I don't get I don't see how reacting to the drama is a good thing. Explain me to that, please. I don't get it. But I've been hurted. Oh, how nice that you've been hurted. Ooh, tingles. She was a bitch to me. I'm sure she was. You deserve to be bitched at. You're a dumb fuck. What can I tell you? Oh, you said that about me. Yes, I did. Why did you say that? Because you're a dumb fuck? I don't know. You're nasty to the girl. No wonder she's bitching at you about it. Cut that shit out. Well, how dare you tell me what to do in my house? I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you if you want to get along with her or not. No, I don't. Why didn't you just be honest with that? See, that's all that's being at one. See. Okay, and something. Look, it's not, Lenore. It's not something that we do a lot. Okay, we hide what we really think. We don't really say. We don't really understand where the other person is. All of those things, right? And it's like it doesn't make us rotten peoples. It just. I know I say that a lot, but it's true. That does not prove that we're miserable human beings. What that proves is that we are human beings. That's it. That's all that it proves, that we're human beings. Nothing more, nothing less. Just us being human beings. You with?
Yeah, I'm with. I'm just.
Mm.
This
You know,
is a great combo.
and you can't. Well, you can't really, you can't really, you can't really get mad at people for being human.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of want them to be human rather than inhuman. You know, they're much more predictable as human than they are as inhuman, right? You just
Mm-hmm.
you kind of know where you are that way. So, but listen, we're still going to react. We're still going to do run those programs that we learned how to run when we were kids. We're still going to sit down on the floor and kick our feet and say, "But you didn't bring me Captain Crunch," or "I wanted a Barbie. I didn't want a this silly looking doll. I wanted a Barbie doll with boobies and everything, and not what you brought me with this China face. It's terrible. So people can laugh at me." Okay. You know, I mean, you know that'll happen. Or kids said, "But I wanted to, you know, I didn't want that. I wanted this. I wanted Legos. I didn't want Tinker Toys." Well, that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. You with?
Yeah.
We still do those things because we don't recognize them and change them, kid. We're not at one with ourselves. And the thing is that because we use it to look at the world, it's really hard for us to see it. It just is hard. You can't see what you're looking with. I can't see the color of my eyes. I can see the color of your eyes, but I can't see the color of my eyes. Okay.
Yeah, just thinking about it, it's like that the high school drama you mentioned earlier. It's like I'm pretty sure that exact conversation happened with me. And it's like,
No.
and just thinking about it, it's like, you know what? It's actually funny at this point. Because
It
it's
was
so
funny then,
ridiculous.
but you did. It was funny then, but you didn't know.
That's true.
Okay. In other words, look, just because we have this drama doesn't change the reality of anything, does it?
No, it doesn't. Reality is still
Reality.
reality. Yes.
Yep. And it's like we can fantasize about, we can give excuses for it, we can defend our thoughts about it, but you know what? Reality is still going to be reality. You know, the sun rises, the sun sets. You know, and the reality of it is that we're going around the sun, and we're going around and around out here in space somewhere. That's the reason why we see the sun rising and set. The sun ain't moving. We are. You know, I don't care what the song says. You know, sunrise, sunset. You know, it doesn't make any difference what song it says. You know, we're still. You know, we can observe it that way, and we can enjoy the bejesus out of it. But the reality is what the reality is. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, I get to watch sunsets every afternoon. They're just spectacular, just absolutely, totally spectacular. You know, it's the nature of being able to see where the sun sets on the horizon every day. That's just how it is. So there's no reason to be dramatic about that, even though those events are breathtakingly beautiful, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's a moral test to see the beauty in them. And so it's the same thing. It's a moral test for me to see the beauty in my friend Lenore. Because once upon a time, she was a rebellious little kid. So what? You know, she's growing up and becoming this beautiful young lady. And damn,
Well, thank
who
you.
knew? Well, it's true. There's nothing to be thanked about. I mean, you know, it's a true thing. It's an observation. See, I could hide that. I could pretend that's not really true. But I could also say that I could also acknowledge the reality that actually exists for you in this regard. Could I not? And so the moral test is to see whether or not I'm aware of the changes that you're making and going through as you mature.
Ah, you just brought that all
Because
back around.
well, I've been known to do that before, so
Once or
okay,
twice.
yeah, maybe 3 or 4 times, but okay, not much, just now and then.
Okay.
The training, so that's the reason I can do it. So what else can we do for you tonight, kiddo?
Well, it's been about 40 minutes here. I feel like this is a good place to
Take a
end the
pause?
conversation. Yeah,
Okay.
till we meet again.
All right, good. So behave yourself in the meantime, and like I tell you, if you don't, please send pictures because I'm too old to go with you, but I can appreciate good art.
You can find the beauty in whatever it is I'm doing.
You see there. Now you're getting the picture here, kids. What drama? I don't. We don't need to worry about the drama. All right, Lenore. Have a good evening, kiddo, and we'll see you soon. Okay.
You too. See you soon.
All right.
Okay.
Bye now.
Goodbye.